Hola, it's me, Jolene, and I'm back with another video. And today I'm gonna be I wouldn't say answering the question, but helping anyone that they think their child might be trans, or they're just wondering, like, how do you know? Can a child be trans? All of that kind of stuff, because it is something I see people talk a lot about, and it's something I actually get asked about quite a lot just in my personal life, whether that's by people that think their children are trans, or people asking me, how old was I when I realized? How did I know? What was it like being a child? So I kind of just want to go over all of that kind of stuff and help you, like, if you think your child might be trans, or if you think you just want to make sure you're providing the best environment for your child if they do happen to be trans and you currently have no signs of that, or future children, whatever. I just want to provide as much information as I can in kind of a not so political way. Whenever I see this being discussed, it tends to be quite political. I don't think it's something that should be political, so hopefully I don't let anything like that come into play. But it does bring me back to when I was a child, and looking back now, I realize what these feelings were, but obviously at the time we didn't have that kind of vocabulary of transgender or anything like that. But I do distinctly remember as a child, I would, for example, watch Baywatch with my grandfather, and I just always thought that when I was going to grow up, I was going to be Pamela Anderson and not David Hasselhoff. It's kind of that internal mind's eye of like how you see yourself. That's really what it comes down to. I see a lot of discussion about children playing with toys that are designed for the opposite sex or marketed as for the opposite sex. And I think we all the water gets a bit muddy with that discussion, because sometimes it is an indicator, but sometimes it's just not. Sometimes your child is just interested in something that has traditionally been marketed to different kinds of children. So that isn't a clear, cut and dry example that your child might be trans. It can be an indicator, and it can be a way to open up the discussion or start kind of observing certain things. I definitely would say that if you ask your child to draw themselves in 50 years or in 10 years, what will they look like? That can also give you a good indication. If you do this in like a safe environment where they don't feel like they have to just draw what they think you're expecting them to, that can help you with that. Other things that could be a really good indication of if your child is trans is things like how they behave in kind of a bathroom setting, because that is more private and it's more specific to them. It's not as, there's not a whole lot of input going into it. There's not a whole lot, you don't really in society have continuous discussions about how people use the bathroom. So if your child is, assigned male at birth, and you've taught them how to go to the bathroom standing up, after they have a shower, you tend to only wrap the towel around like the lower half of their body, but they tend to rewrap it around their whole body, or vice versa. If your child's assigned female at birth and you notice that they're trying to stand up to use the bathroom, or they tend to kind of wrap the towel only around half of their body in a way that you haven't traditionally done for them, this could be like a subconscious, their mind is just telling them, oh, this isn't right for my body, I'm going to adjust it, even though their body obviously is not matching up to what their mind is thinking. And that is another point to be made that I don't see being discussed a lot, is that being trans and transgenderism and the trans experience and all of that, it really comes down to a cognitive dissonance in the mind, between the mind and the body. Your mind is saying, my body is this, and your body is disagreeing with it, essentially. So certain things like that you will start to notice and start to pick up on. It's really more those things that aren't influenced so heavily by society. If your child just subconsciously is doing them, that could be a really good indicator that they may be trans. with trans children, does that mean that you should start helping them transition? Does that mean you should put them on hormone blockers and start their transition for them? Personally, I don't think that's necessary. I don't think the worst that happens if you don't help them transition, if you don't start that journey for them, is that they just do it a little later in life. As long as you're, they're supportive and neither encouraging or discouraging these neutral behaviors that aren't harmful to themselves or the people around them, then eventually they will get there and they'll figure it out on their own and they'll be able to go down that journey safely. I think what we're seeing a lot of at the moment is parents going, oh, my child's trans, I better help them transition. And I truly don't think that's necessary. And I think it can become dangerous, especially when it comes to things like the hormones and all of that. It can really mess with the body and it can be incredibly dangerous. And we do really need to look at the fact that transitioning is it's basically the only medication, it's the only treatment that we have for this cognitive dissonance that trans people experience. So when you look at it that way and not so much from a political standpoint of this is a woman trapped in a man's body or a man trapped in a woman's body, if you really just boil it down to this is someone experiencing cognitive dissonance with their own body, and the only treatment we have for that at the moment is medical and social transition, then you can kind of think about it more clearly, and it's not something that is detrimental. I understand socially transitioning children if it is a really, really intense, extreme, and extensive case of this child can't function without living as the opposite sex. I understand why that's necessary, but when it comes to providing them any kind of medication to help with that or surgeries, I think it's definitely something that it can wait till they're an adult, but that's not to say that what I think is right or that I even really know what is right for anyone. But that's definitely my experience and my perspective, and just a few tips to help you identify if your child might be expressing these kinds of things, that they might be struggling with the cognitive dissonance that is gender dysphoria, and maybe looking into that side of things, how to handle gender dysphoria, what gender dysphoria is, and not so much looking up transgender people in the media or in public record and how they live their life. Maybe just do the research and the study of what gender dysphoria is, how to help alleviate it until they are old enough to make informed decisions and make the correct decision, the healthy option, because everybody's body develops differently anyway. So they may go on to live their life with gender dysphoria, but their body may develop in a way that they're totally okay with. And if treatment can be avoided, it should be. That goes with really any kind of mental health issue or physical illness or anything like that. And that's kind of really where I'm at from this perspective. I don't think children should be transitioning unless absolutely necessary for their mental well-being. And, just making sure that if you do think that they might be trans, that you're not encouraging or discouraging it and you're just letting them find their footing on their own. That's definitely the healthiest option, because then it's a decision they get to make. And if at some point they do regret it, even if it's temporary, they won't ever have to feel like maybe you put that on them. That's definitely something that you should try and avoid, just for their overall well-being as well. But I think that kind of covers it all at a base level, touches on a few things, and hopefully has given you enough information to help you start possibly that journey of helping your child or a child that may be experiencing gender dysphoria. And if you have any other questions, please comment below. I'll try and get back to everyone, especially regarding this. I do think it is an important topic within the trans community, so I would like to really speak on it a bit more and help anyone that does need that help. But other than that, I will be back tomorrow with another video. So if you want to see more of me, please like and subscribe. I do have a new song called Throat Goat that's out at the moment. The link is in the description as well, but other than that, I will see you tomorrow.